Ever found yourself using an app or a website and it clicks?
Yeah.
Like it was almost, made just for you. Every button, every step, it just feels right.
Totally intuitive.
But then there are those other times, right? The ones that are just frustrating, where you feel like you're fighting the thing.
Oh, definitely. We've all been there.
So what's the secret then? Behind those really great digital experiences, how do the teams building these things actually figure out what we want and, deliver it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels like it. And that's really our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into three really fundamental tools: user personas, user stories, and user journeys.
The big three.
Exactly. These aren't just like buzzwords. They genuinely shape how stuff gets built. So we're going to try and pull out the key insights from the sources, cut through the jargon, and really understand how these help create products that work for you.
And it's so critical today. I mean, the market is just crowded, isn't it? Just having a cool idea, well, it's not enough anymore. If you don't have that deep, almost empathetic understanding of the user, well, things often just fall flat. These tools, they bring that human-centered approach. It's a shift away from just listing features to actually solving real problems for real people.
So it's about building something someone genuinely needs, not just something that seems neat.
Precisely. Something they want to use.
Okay, I'm curious though, for our audience who probably get the basics of product development, what's maybe a common misconception about these tools, something we should, clear up right away?
That's a really good point. I think a lot of people see something like a persona as just a document. You create it, tick a box, maybe stick it in a folder somewhere.
Right, a one and done thing.
Exactly. But the real power, the deep insight we're talking about, that comes when they're treated as living guides. Tools that actively, constantly challenge your assumptions. They help prevent bias creeping in all the way through development.
Ah, okay. So not just descriptions, but actual decision-making tools.
Yes, that's the key.
That's a powerful difference. Okay, let's unpack this more then, starting right at the beginning with user personas. We kind of know they're these semi-fictional profiles based on real data.
Right. Grounded in research.
But what makes a persona truly effective? What makes it actually impactful beyond just, say, listing age and job title?
It's really about how those data points come together to form a believable character, almost. A really good persona captures their goals, what really drives them.
Okay.
Their specific frustrations, what makes them tear their hair out, and their key behaviors. The sources had a great example, DevOps Dan.
Right, I remember that one.
So he's a senior developer. His core need, reliable automation tools. Pretty straightforward. But crucially, his frustration is mentioned as confusing documentation. Now that detail, that's gold.
Why is that so important?
Because it's a direct flag for the entire team. Anything you ship to Dan, it has to be crystal clear. No jargon, easy to follow. That frustration informs design, content, everything.
So it becomes less about some generic user and more about asking, okay, what would Dan do here? What specifically annoys him?
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how these personas then act as this shared reference point, like a common language for the whole team.
Across different departments.
Yeah.
Design, engineering.
Design, development, marketing, product management, you name it. Instead of these vague discussions like, oh, the customer wants this, the conversation becomes, okay, how does this feature help Maria? Maria, the marketing manager persona. How does it help her manage campaigns more efficiently?
Right, it gets specific.
It gets specific, and it helps avoid assumptions based on, what I might like as a developer or what you might like. It keeps the focus firmly on the user's goals. And actually, an interesting point from the sources is that teams using personas consistently, they report a much higher ROI on their development efforts.
Because they're building the right thing more often.
They're just building the right thing more often, less wasted effort.
And that's where, like you said, the rubber meets the road. If DevOps Dan hates long forms, that persona instantly tells the design team, keep the sign-up short, simplify it, reduce the fields.
It's a direct input into the design process.
It stops being abstract and actually helps minimize that friction for the user. It makes you see them as, well, people with real needs and annoyances, not just clicks and data points.
Absolutely. And that leads to a much smoother, hopefully more delightful experience for you, the person actually using it.
So how do you create these effectively? It's not just making someone up, right?
Oh, definitely not. It's grounded in solid user research. Actually talking to target users, running surveys, digging into analytics. You need both the qualitative stuff, the stories, the why, behind their action.
Big analytics.
Exactly. And the quantitative metrics, the what, the how often. Then the team looks for patterns. You start grouping users based on shared roles or goals or maybe similar behaviors. And the key attributes you include go beyond just demographics. You need a name, maybe a picture, a bit of background, like Maria, 34, marketing manager. But then you need her concrete goals, like wants efficient tools to manage campaigns.
And her frustrations.
And her frustrations, struggles with confusing dashboards, and also critical context, like how she uses technology, how tech-savvy she is, and using real quotes, actual quotes from the research. That makes the persona so much more vivid and, frankly, more useful. It keeps it real.
It sounds like it really puts a human face on all that data, turns these abstract market segments into, like, relatable people the team can actually design for.
Precisely. Everyone can rally around helping Maria or Dan.
Okay, so personas tell us who we're designing for, these rich, detailed pictures, but then how do you translate their needs, their goals, their frustrations into something a development team can actually, build?
Right. That's the next logical step.
And that brings us to user stories, doesn't it?
Exactly. We know DevOps Dan wants reliable automation. Great. But what does that mean in terms of features? User stories provide that bridge, and they do it with a really elegant simplicity.
Yeah, for anyone who needs a quick refresher on why they're so effective, a user story is just a short, simple description of a feature. But, and this is key, it's always from the user's perspective.
Always.
It nails down 3 things: who wants it, what they want, and crucially, why they want it. That classic format is just so clear. As a type of user, I want to perform some action so that I get some benefit.
And here's where, again, the deep insight lies. A user story is not a detailed technical specification.
Okay, that's important. So if it's not the full spec, what's its main job?
Its main job, its core purpose, is to be a placeholder, a reminder, a promise to have a conversation.
Okay. A conversation starter.
Yes. They're central to Agile development because they spark those discussions. They force the team to constantly ask, wait, why are we building this specific thing? And who is this actually for? It keeps pulling everyone back to the user and the value they're supposed to get.
And that helps avoid just adding features for feature's sake, feature bloat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It keeps the focus tight on delivering actual value.
So it's not just a requirement, it's more like a prompt. Let's talk about the best way to solve this need for this specific person. I think the sources had an example like, instead of just saying add multi-factor auth.
Right, which is a technical task.
The user story would be something like, as a security-conscious user, I want to enable multi-factor authentication so that my account is protected even if my password gets stolen. That feels different.
It is different. Massively different.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus from just implementing a technology to solving a real user problem and articulating the benefit. Connecting this back, you see how user stories translate the persona's needs, Maria's need for efficiency, Dan's need for reliability, into concrete, actionable goals for the development team. It ensures the design and development effort is always tied back to delivering something of value to that user. It forces that mindset. Every feature needs a clear hand.
The benefit.
The benefit.
Yeah.
And it also really helps with prioritization, doesn't it? You can look at your list of stories and ask, okay, which of these delivers the most value to Dan or Maria right now?
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like they become almost like a checklist during design and development. Does this feature actually solve a real problem for our persona? And by keeping them short and focused on that value, they naturally help stop you building stuff nobody actually needs.
Exactly. Keeps things lean and focused.
Okay, so we've got who we're building for with personas. We've got what they need articulated through user stories. But how do they actually, experience the product from the moment they first hear about it to when they're using it regularly to achieve their goals?
Right, the whole flow, the narrative.
And that's where user journeys and journey maps fit in.
Precisely. This is where we zoom out and look at the entire interaction over time. A user journey describes that complete path a specific persona takes to achieve a specific goal using the product. It looks beyond just single features.
Okay. And the journey map is the visual representation of that path.
Exactly. Think of it like a storyboard for the user's experience.
So what kind of things go onto one of these maps? It's not just a flowchart of clicks, is it?
No, ideally not. It's much richer than that.
Yeah.
Usually you break the journey down into distinct phases or stages. Things like discovery, how they find out about you. Then consideration or evaluation, maybe purchase or sign up. Then onboarding, regular use, maybe even getting support.
Right, the whole life cycle.
The whole life cycle relevant to that goal. And for each stage, The map charts what the user is doing, what touch points they're interacting with website, app, email, maybe even offline interactions. But crucially, it also captures what they're thinking and, very importantly, what they're feeling at each step.
The emotional part. That sounds key.
It's incredibly insightful, often shown as like a line graph across the journey map. Are they excited here? Confused, frustrated, delighted. Mapping that emotional roller coaster reveals so much.
That sounds like it could really tackle designer bias head on, because we all think we know how people should use our product.
We do. We all have our assumptions.
But this forces you to look at how they actually experience it, warts and all. Finds the blind spots.
Absolutely. And what's really powerful here is how journey maps uncover these hidden problems. Things that might slip through the cracks if you're just looking at individual features or user stories.
Like what kind of things?
Well, a classic example is discovering a big drop-off point. Maybe lots of users start signing up but abandon halfway through. The journey map might reveal it's because a particular form is too long, or asks confusing questions right at a moment when their motivation dips.
Okay.
The sources mention an example about a bug where a user persona, Jasmine, couldn't select multiple races in her profile setup. That specific issue only became really obvious and urgent when the team traced her specific journey, step by step, and saw the roadblock it created for that persona.
So it makes those friction points really visible.
Highly visible. And it forces decisions based on evidence of the user experience, not just internal opinions or preferences.
Okay, so the benefits seem huge. It builds real empathy, gives you clarity on the whole narrative.
Yeah.
It helps you pinpoint those pain points you might otherwise miss. And it actively counters bias by keeping decisions grounded in user reality. You can ask, does this change help Maria at this specific point in her journey?
Exactly. And that leads to another massive benefit, cross-functional alignment.
Abs-
Because that shared journey map, it becomes the single source of truth for everyone involved, product managers, designers, developers, marketers, support. Everyone can see the same picture of the user's experience, the highs and the lows. They agree on what good looks like, and crucially, where the problems are that need solving. It gets everyone pulling in the same direction.
That alignment sounds incredibly valuable. So practically speaking, how does a team actually put one of these maps together? What are the steps?
Well, typically, you start by picking one specific persona and one specific scenario or goal for them. You can't map everyone doing everything at once.
Right, keep it focused.
Keep it focused. Then you outline the main phases of that journey: discovery, research, purchase, onboarding, whatever makes sense. Within each phase, you document what the user is doing, thinking, feeling, and what touch points they're using.
Documenting the actions, thoughts, and emotions.
Actions, thoughts, emotions. Identify the pain points very clearly. And then, importantly, you step back and highlight the key insights, the gaps you found, or the opportunities for improvement that the map has revealed. It's a structured process for stepping into the user's shoes.
Okay, so when you bring all three of these together, the personas, the stories, the journeys, what's the combined effect? It sounds like they really build on each other, more than just individual tools.
Oh, absolutely. They're an ecosystem, really. They're synergistic. Think
Yeah.
about it. Personas tell you who you're designing for.
Right, the who.
User stories translate their needs into clear, actionable feature goals, the what and why.
The what's and why.
And journey maps ensure the entire flow of using those features feels coherent, smooth, and natural from the user's perspective, from start to finish. The how.
The how of the experience.
Exactly. Together, they make sure you're not only building the right thing, the features people actually need, but that you're also building it right, ensuring the overall experience makes sense and feels good.
The sources had a good example of this working together, like mapping a first-time user's journey.
Yeah.
It can clearly show confusing steps in, say, an onboarding funnel. One team apparently mapped their whole sign-up-to-purchase flow and only then realized their free trial process was way too long and complex. The friction points just jumped out when they saw the whole journey visualized, and that led them to streamline it.
That's a perfect illustration. And connecting that to the bigger picture, this kind of deeply user-centered approach, using these tools together, it just consistently leads to better results. You see higher engagement, people stick around longer, greater user satisfaction, and often improved business metrics like conversion rates.
Because you're designing with the user in mind, not just making assumptions for them.
Precisely. It's a holistic view, ensuring everything hangs together from the first time they hear about you to becoming a loyal user.
Wow. Okay, well, that brings us towards the end of, I think, a really insightful deep dive. We've unpacked user personas, user stories, user journeys, And it really feels like these tools take product development beyond just guesswork. They bring in empathy, data, and a focus on the human using the technology.
They really do. And they're definitely not just theoretical ideas floating around. These are practical, hands-on frameworks used every day by leading companies and experts. Folks like Nielsen Norman Group,
Oh,
agile gurus like Mike Cohn, platforms like Product Plan. They use them because they work. They demonstrably lead to products that people actually connect with and find useful.
yeah, they make a tangible difference.
A real difference in how we all interact with tech daily.
So, maybe a final provocative thought for everyone listening. Think about the last time an app or a website felt incredibly easy to use, just delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Or, flip side, one that was intensely frustrating, made you want to give up.
We all have examples of both.
Definitely. So, how might understanding the persona they were targeting, or the specific user story behind a feature, or visualizing the entire journey, how might that have changed the outcome? Could it have prevented the frustration? Could it have amplified the delight?
It's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, maybe start observing the products you use every day through this lens. You might start seeing signs of this user-centered thinking or the lack of it.
Mm.
And maybe even think about how you could apply these ideas, personas, stories, journeys to problems you're trying to solve, even if it's not software.
Could be planning a party.
Could be anything. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been really enlightening.
My pleasure.
And we look forward to our next exploration of knowledge with all of you.
If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share it, with others who might benefit too. To learn more about product management and digital marketing, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.